I woke up with my heart racing, the sunlight cutting across my small apartment like it was marking the start of something big. Today's it, I muttered to myself, brushing my teeth. The interview. My dream job. Ryan's text buzzed. Don't forget, she's tricky. Stay sharp. I smiled, replying, thanks, but I've got this. Nervous, yes. But ready. The cab ride felt like a blur. My mind kept replaying the company's website, their projects, and the questions I had rehearsed. When the doors opened, the lobby gleamed with polished marble. I tried to steady my pulse, but it thumped like a drum in my chest. That's when I saw her. Alina. She was leaning casually against the reception desk, scrolling on her phone, hair perfectly styled. Smile, effortless. Hi, she said, her voice like honey but with a hint of something I couldn't place. You must be the new candidate. Yes, I said, extending my hand. I'm Alina, she interrupted with a wink. You'll do fine. Just remember, confidence is everything, and don't get lost in the details, they don't matter as much as they think. I laughed nervously. Thanks, that's actually really helpful. She smiled, but there was something in her eyes, almost imperceptible glint. No problem. Oh, and don't mention that little spreadsheet project last week. You wouldn't want to seem inexperienced in front of them. I nodded, grateful for her advice. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. We're all friends here, right? She tapped her fingers lightly on the desk, her grin widening just enough for me to feel included. Ryan's warning echoed in my mind. Stay sharp. But I pushed it aside. She seemed so genuine, so warm. When I finally met the interview panel, I felt my nerves creeping back, but I reminded myself, I prepared for this. The questions came fast, and I answered as best as I could. I caught glances from Alina, helpful tips, little nods, almost like she was guiding me. I felt lucky to have an ally. Afterward, in the waiting area, Alina sidled up beside me again. You did well, she said softly. Honestly, some of their questions are traps. I've seen so many people fail because they Don't let them see your anxiety. I smiled, trying not to appear too eager. You make it sound so easy. How do you do it? Practice, she said lightly, twirling a strand of hair. But some of it is instinct. You'll get there. Just watch your back, okay? People can be sneaky. Her words felt sincere, almost protective. I nodded. Thanks. I'll remember that. Later, Ryan caught up with me outside the building. So, he asked, his brow furrowed. How'd it go? I grinned. Better than I expected, I think. I think I might have a shot. He studied me serious. And Alina, she'll seem off. I waved him off. No, she's fine. In fact, she helped me a lot. You worry too much. He shook his head. I just don't trust people who are too nice, not in this world. Ryan, come on, I laughed. She was friendly, but I can handle it. I have to focus on myself, not everyone else. I didn't notice the way Alina's smile lingered in my mind, how it had that subtle edge. The kind you only see when someone's hiding something. At the time, I thought she was charming, helpful. I thought she was my ally. Back home, I replayed the day over and over. My heart still fluttered when I remembered her words. Watch your back. I shrugged it off as friendly advice, but deep down, something told me I'd remember that phrase for a long time. I didn't know then that those words were a warning disguised as kindness. I didn't know that trusting her so easily was the first step down a path I wasn't prepared for. I was too excited, too naive to see it. Tomorrow, I whispered to myself as I lay down, everything changes. I'll show them I'm ready. I closed my eyes, unaware that someone else had already begun playing the game. Someone who smiled in my face while plotting my fall. I woke up feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. Today was it, the promotion interview. My heart raced as I brushed my teeth, muttering to myself, I've prepared for this. I can do this. Ryan's text buzzed. Don't let anyone shake you today. Not even her. I frowned at my phone. Not even her. What does that mean? I whispered. The office lobby smelled faintly of coffee, the usual hum of business filling the space. Alina was already there, leaning casually against the reception desk with that same practiced smile. "Good morning," she said, waving. "Ready to shine?" I forced a smile. "Morning. I hope so. You'll do fine, just don't let the details trip you up. Sometimes the managers look for perfection, sometimes for someone who can handle pressure without panicking." Her voice was soft, convincing. I nodded, trying to steady my shaking hands. "Thanks. That helps." She leaned in slightly. "Oh, and one more thing. Don't over-prepare for the finance section. They like fresh ideas more than memorized answers. Trust me, I've seen it flop before." I swallowed. I'll try that." She smiled warmly. "See, you're already learning from me. Good luck, really." When I walked into the interview room, the management team greeted me with polite nods. I tried to focus, repeating my rehearsed answers in my head. But every time I glanced at Alina, I caught her subtle smirk. "Tell us about the Henderson project," one manager asked. I launched into my explanation, confident, precise. I thought I was doing well, but then Alina chimed in. "Actually," she said softly, almost as if helping me, "I handled the budgeting for Henderson. I noticed some gaps in the reporting. If you'd like, I can explain." The room's attention shifted immediately to her. I felt my pulse drop. No, I started, but she kept talking, offering examples and numbers, her tone polished, flawless. The managers nodded appreciatively, taking notes. I opened my mouth again, but the words felt weak in comparison. Her explanations were concise, confident, and impossible to ignore. After the session, I stepped into the waiting area, my hands clammy. Alina came up behind me, smiling. "You okay?" she asked, tilting her head. "You looked tense in there." "Just a little nervous, I guess." My voice felt small. She laughed lightly. "Don't worry, we can only do our best. Besides, it's just one interview." I wanted to believe her, but something in the way she said it felt off. Later, Ryan caught up with me outside the building. "So, how did it go?" I slumped against the wall. "I don't know. I tried my best, but she outshined me at every step." Ryan frowned. "Outshined? You mean she helped, right?" I shook my head. No, it felt deliberate, like she wanted to make me look small. I don't know why. Ryan's eyes darkened. "I knew it. I told you, she's not what she seems." "I trusted her," I yelled, frustration bubbling. "I thought she was helping me." "Sometimes, people smile in your face while plotting against you," he said softly. "I hate that, I told you, but I didn't want to hear it. I wanted to believe in fairness, in merit. But the nagging feeling wouldn't go away." The results came in the afternoon. My name was missing from the promotion list. I stared at the email, my chest tightening, stomach twisting. I called Ryan immediately. "I didn't get it." My voice broke. "I don't understand. I thought I was prepared. I thought I was ready." "You will be," he said firmly. "This isn't the end. Don't let her win like this. Come on, let's talk it through." I slumped into a chair, shaking my head. "It's humiliating. I gave everything, Ryan, everything, and she took it all." "You're letting her control your mind right now," he said, gentle but firm. "You have two choices, sulk or plan. You know which one I'd pick." I clenched my fists, trying to swallow my pride. I don't just want to survive. I want to make sure she doesn't get away with this." Ryan's eyes gleamed with understanding. "Then that's your first step. Breathe, calm down, plan. Not yet revenge, just plan later." I noticed subtle signs gossip floating through the office that Alina celebrated privately. Someone mentioned a small victory toast with her ally. And a quiet laugh echoed through the hallway that made my stomach turn. I gritted my teeth, whispering to myself, "You think you won, but you don't know me yet. You just wait." The day ended with me staring out the window of my apartment, my mind racing. The humiliation stung, but it sparked something darker: determination, anger, and the first flicker of a plan that I knew would grow. "You'll pay for this," I muttered under my breath. Not now, not tomorrow, but eventually, you'll see what happens when someone you underestimate rises. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even try. My mind was alive, replaying every word, every gesture, every smile that had hurt me. And somewhere beneath the anger, a quiet voice whispered, "This is just the beginning." The days after the interview felt like a fog. I barely ate. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Alina smirk. Every time I imagined the promotion, my chest tightened. Then the accident happened. I don't remember much, just the screech of tires, a flash of headlights, and then, nothing.
When I woke up, the hospital room was quiet except for the beeping monitor. Ryan was sitting in the corner, his face pale, hands fidgeting. "You're awake," he said, relief washing over him. "Don't scare me like that again." I tried to sit up. What happened?" "You were hit by a car outside the office," he explained. "You're lucky to be alive. Seriously, you have to slow down." I laughed weakly. "Lucky, yeah, lucky. I feel like my life's in pieces anyway." Ryan shook his head. "No. You're alive. That's the second chance." A second chance, the words echoed. I realized he was right. I couldn't let Alina define my life. Not anymore. "I need to start over," I whispered. "I need to be better, stronger, smarter. Everything she thinks I'm not." Ryan leaned forward. "That's the spirit. But you don't have to do it alone." "I know," I said. "But I need a plan. A real one." He smiled faintly. "I think I know someone who can help. Liam. He's someone who can teach you strategy, not just skills." I raised an eyebrow. "Strategy?" "Yeah. How to navigate this world without letting people like Alina control you. How to take opportunities instead of waiting for them. You'll like him." I nodded. "All right. I'm ready. Let's do it." A week later, Liam and I met at a small cafe. He was older, confident, the kind of person who made you feel like he already knew what you needed. "You're the one Ryan keeps talking about," he said, extending his hand. "I've heard about your situation." I shook it firmly. "I want to rebuild. I want to come back stronger than anyone expected." Liam smiled. "Good. Most people complain or sulk. You're different. That mindset will take you far." "How do I start?" I asked. "First, you focus on yourself. Skill building, networking, mental strength. Second, you observe, but don't act impulsively. Let things unfold. Karma has a way of working when you stay patient." I frowned. "Patience, easier said than done." Liam chuckled. "I know. But trust me. Control yourself, and you'll control your world." After the meeting, Ryan and I walked along the street. "So?" he asked. "Impressed?" I nodded. "He's different. Makes me feel like I can actually do this." "You will," Ryan said firmly. "I'll help you. But don't let anger blind you. Use it as fuel, not poison." I exhaled. "Fuel, yeah. I need that. I'm tired of feeling weak, powerless." In the following weeks, I threw myself into learning everything I could. Every night, I practiced presentations, studied strategies, and honed my skills. Liam guided me, challenging me to think ahead, anticipate problems, and stay calm under pressure. One evening, after a long day, Ryan called. "How's it going?" I groaned. "Exhausting. But I can feel progress. I see myself differently now. I don't feel like the same person Alina crushed." "Good. That's the point," he said. "Just remember, every step forward is a step toward your real revenge, without being petty. Let her see you rise. I paused, thinking. I'm ready. I'm not just going to survive anymore. I'm going to thrive. And someday, she'll realize she lost more than she gained. Ryan laughed softly. Careful. Don't get too poetic. But I like it. That fire suits you. Some nights, I caught myself replaying that day of betrayal in my head. The way Alina smiled, how easily she manipulated the room. Anger still surged, but now it wasn't paralyzing, it was fuel. A tool. Something to channel. I looked at myself in the mirror one night, tired but resolute. This is my rebirth. No more trusting too easily. No more letting her control my story. And for the first time in weeks, I felt hope. Real hope. Tomorrow, we start the next phase, I told Ryan when we met at a cafe. Networking, learning, connecting. This time, I set the rules. Ryan nodded, grinning. And I'll be here, every step. Just don't forget, smart, patient, strategic. That's your edge. I smiled, feeling a mix of determination and quiet satisfaction. I won't. This is the beginning. And when it's over, she'll see me at the top. I didn't know exactly how long it would take. I didn't know every challenge ahead. But for the first time since the betrayal, I felt alive. Ready. Focused. And somewhere deep down, I knew karma was already in motion. I just had to make sure I was ready to take my place when it arrived. I leaned back in my chair, stretching my tired arms. The office smelled faintly of coffee and new furniture. My own office, my own venture, finally. It wasn't the same as the old company, but it felt like freedom. Look at you, Liam said, leaning against the doorway with that easy smile of his. I can see it in your posture. You're different now. I laughed softly. Different how? Tired, maybe. But, I trailed off, thinking. Yeah, maybe. I don't feel small anymore. That's good, he said. Remember, it's not just skill, it's presence. Confidence. People respond to it. I've been practicing that, I admitted. Networking, presentations, even just how I talk to clients. It feels empowering. Liam nodded. Empowerment is fine, but don't let it blind you. Always calculate, observe, adjust. I frowned. Like chess. Exactly, he said. And you're playing against someone who thinks she's always 3 steps ahead. Keep your head in the game. I smirked. Alina, huh? Funny how I see her tricks clearer now. The little smiles, the guidance that was really sabotage. Liam raised an eyebrow. And I don't care anymore, I said firmly. I have my own path. My own game. She can play hers. Good, he said. That's growth. Don't let anger cloud judgment, though. Let it guide strategy, not panic. Later that day, Sophia came by my office, carrying a stack of papers. She smiled warmly. Hey, I heard about your new project. Congrats. Mind if I drop some ideas? I smiled, relieved by her calm presence. Of course. I could use a fresh perspective. She spread the papers on my desk. I just think relationships matter as much as results. People you trust, who actually care, it makes the work better. I nodded, thinking of Alina and how manipulative she had been. I get that now. Genuine trust isn't common. I've learned that the hard way. Sophia's eyes softened. Then you'll appreciate this. Work should feel like collaboration, not manipulation. And it should never make you question your worth. I swallowed, feeling something I hadn't in months, comfort. Thank you, Sophia. I needed that. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into the venture. Every deal, every client meeting, every negotiation became a test, and I passed more often than I failed. Small victories built momentum. "Look at the numbers," Liam said one afternoon, showing me the growth chart. "You're gaining influence faster than I expected." I leaned forward, examining the data. "It's satisfying. But I'm more aware now. I notice when people overplay their hand, when they think they're subtle." "Exactly," Liam said. "And that awareness is what will protect you when you go back to face your past." I smiled, fingers drumming on the table. "I'm ready. Not just to survive anymore, but to assert myself. And if Alina crosses me again, I won't hesitate." "Patience," Liam said, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Power without patience is weakness." Later, Sophia and I had lunch at a small cafe near the office. "I admire how you've grown," she said. "It's not just about business. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you make decisions now." I shrugged, smiling. I had to. After everything. Losing that promotion, Alina, it forced me to see what I was capable of. Sophia tilted her head. "And it's paying off. But remember, winning isn't just about proving others wrong. It's also about proving yourself right." Her words sank in. "Yeah. I think I understand that now. It's not about revenge. It's about reclaiming my life." Back at the office, I reviewed the upcoming project for my old company. They'd contracted my venture for consultation. Irony wasn't lost on me. "I can't believe they called us," I muttered, scanning the files. "After everything, they're asking for my expertise." Liam leaned in, smirking. "Life has a sense of humor. And karma has a sense of timing. Just make sure you stay professional. We don't need theatrics, only results." I nodded. "Of course. But part of me wants to see her reaction. Alina's going to be there, coordinating this project, thinking she still has control." "Then let her think," Liam said. "You already know more than she realizes. Strategy wins before confrontation." I exhaled, feeling a surge of confidence. I'm ready. Ready to face her. Not because I want to hurt her, but because I won't be manipulated anymore. I've grown. I've built my own strength. That night, I stared at my reflection in the office window, city light sparkling behind me. I had transformed. Not just professionally, but emotionally. Small victories, careful planning, genuine alliances, it all added up. I was no longer the naive person who trusted the wrong people. I was someone capable of creating my own destiny. And tomorrow, when I returned to the old company for the project, I wouldn't just be a consultant. I would be a force, subtly, undeniably, strategically. I whispered to myself, a smile curling on my lips. Let's see who really controls the board now. I walked into the conference room, files in hand, and froze for a split second. There she was, Alina, leaning casually against the table, her signature smirk in place. For the first time, I saw a flicker of something else in her eyes, surprise. "Ah, look who's here," she said, her tone casual but slightly strained. "I didn't expect to see you leading this project." I smiled faintly, keeping my posture relaxed. "Funny how things turn out, isn't it?" Her smirk faltered just slightly. "Well, congratulations, I guess. You've done well for yourself." "Thanks," I said evenly. "I've worked hard. Just like everyone else here." Alina tilted her head, studying me like I was a puzzle she hadn't solved. "You've changed," she said softly. "I mean, I didn't think you'd come back this confident." I shrugged lightly, letting the words hang. "People grow, Alina. Some of us learn from mistakes." She laughed, but it was hollow. "I suppose. Still, I always thought, well, you were a little naive." Guess I underestimated you. Naive? I raised an eyebrow. I just used my energy differently back then. Alina's smile tightened. Energy, huh? I hope you're careful. Not everyone can handle responsibility. I leaned forward slightly, placing my files on the table. I've learned how to handle it. And I've learned that some people, no matter how charming, don't always have the best intentions. Her eyes narrowed, the smirk returning but less sure this time. Charming? Me? Yes, I said quietly, letting my gaze linger. And manipulative. But that doesn't matter anymore. I've got my own strategy now. A small pause settled between us, the air thick with unspoken words. Liam cleared his throat from the side of the room. If we're ready, shall we begin the briefing? Alina's gaze flicked to him, then back to me, and I caught the tiniest hesitation in her posture. Of course, she said smoothly, though it sounded forced. Sophia, sitting nearby, gave me a subtle nod, as if to say she noticed too. I allowed a quiet smile, allies mattered more than ever. As I outlined the project, explaining strategies and delegation plans, I noticed Alina's attempts to interject. But I stayed poised, letting her speak without losing control. Every suggestion she made, I responded with confidence, showing competence rather than aggression. Interesting point, I said when she suggested a minor change. We can consider that, but this approach aligns better with our current objectives. It's more efficient. Alina's lips pressed into a thin line. Efficient, sure, if you're certain. I am, I replied evenly, my voice calm. And I've run the numbers. It's backed by data and practical experience. She nodded stiffly, then turned her attention to Liam for reassurance. Does this sound reasonable to you? Liam gave a subtle smile. It's a solid plan. Well thought out. Alina's eyes flicked back to me, and for a moment, I thought I saw a shadow of uncertainty. She was trying to intimidate me, to remind me of the past, but it didn't work. Not anymore. During a short break, she approached me, lowering her voice. You've really grown, stronger. I didn't expect this level of, what's the word, poise. I smiled faintly. I've had time to learn. It's necessary. She laughed softly, a little edge in it. I suppose you've proven yourself. But remember, some people rise too fast. Sometimes they fall just as quickly. I'll take that risk, I said evenly. I've learned to plan for it. She tilted her head, as if weighing me, then stepped back. Very well. I'll watch your progress, closely. Her words could have been a threat, but I felt satisfaction instead. Finally, I controlled my own narrative. Finally, I wasn't reacting to her schemes, I was anticipating, managing, excelling. When the meeting resumed, I led confidently, delegating tasks, answering questions, guiding the team. Every small nod, every acknowledgement of my strategy, felt like a personal victory. I noticed Alina watching me carefully, her confidence flickering beneath the surface. She didn't realize the full extent of my transformation yet, and that knowledge made my chest tighten with quiet triumph. By the time the meeting ended, Alina's smirk had returned, but it was less assured, more measured. I could see her calculating now, wondering how much I had changed, how much power I had gained. I gathered my files, smiling faintly at Liam and Sophia. Looks like we're off to a good start, I said. Sophia smiled warmly. You're doing great. Keep leading like this, and people will follow you naturally. I glanced at Alina one last time before leaving the room. She gave a polite nod, but I could see the unease in her eyes. She didn't know the full extent of my growth. Not yet. And that, I thought, was exactly how it should be. I sat in the corner of the conference room, quietly observing. Alina was presenting a new proposal, the same confidence in her stride and voice that once intimidated me. Only now, I noticed the cracks, the hesitation in her answers, the way her colleagues exchanged glances. "Alina, can you clarify the projected budget here?" one of the managers asked. She paused, a flicker of uncertainty passing over her face. Well, I think, no, it should be fine. I mean, I double-checked, but... I barely hid my smile. Karma in motion, subtle and slow. Ryan nudged my arm. "You're enjoying this too much," he whispered. "I'm not," I said quickly, though my chest warmed with quiet satisfaction. "I'm just, observing. Learning." Liam, standing near the doorway, nodded at me knowingly. "Observation is power. Don't interfere unless necessary." Alina continued, pushing through her presentation, but her tone had lost some of its earlier assurance. Colleagues raised questions she couldn't answer confidently. Notes rustled, whispers circulated. Later, during a team discussion, I overheard a minor colleague mutter, "I think she miscalculated the projections." Another sighed. "Yeah, that's going to be a problem if management finds out." I kept my expression neutral, letting the natural consequences unfold. This was the satisfaction of patience, the power of restraint. Ryan leaned closer during a break. "Are you going to step in?" "No," I said firmly. "If I interfere, it's revenge. If I watch, it's justice. Big difference." He frowned. "Justice sounds poetic. Are you sure you're not still bitter?" "I'm not bitter," I said, though I took a deep breath. "I'm learning. And seeing her stumble, it's teaching me control, humility, everything she never understood." Liam approached, standing beside Ryan. "The lesson isn't just hers. It's yours too. Don't let satisfaction turn into arrogance. Let her actions teach you restraint." I nodded, considering the words. Restraint, yes. I can watch, learn, and maintain my own integrity. By mid-afternoon, the subtle failures became more apparent. Alina sent a flawed report to a client, and the response came back immediately, pointing out discrepancies. Her face flushed when the email was read aloud in the meeting. "Alina, can you explain these numbers?" a senior colleague asked. I must have miscalculated," she stammered, trying to cover it with a nervous laugh. "It won't happen again." The room murmured. Even minor colleagues avoided eye contact, sensing the tension. I felt a mixture of satisfaction and reflection. Watching her face the fallout reminded me of my past humiliation, and yet, I didn't feel gloating. I felt cautious optimism, a sense of emotional growth. Ryan whispered, "You're handling this well. No revenge, just watching." "I'm impressed." I smiled faintly. "It's hard. I won't lie. There's a temptation to push further. But I want this to be natural. Let karma do its work." Liam added, "That's the mark of true strength. You're choosing morality over impulse." Later, I bumped into Alina in the hallway. Her eyes darted to mine, and for a moment, I thought I saw fear. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said, her voice slightly tight. "Hello, Alina," I said calmly. "Everything okay?" She forced a smile. "Yes, fine. Just, a busy day." I nodded. "I understand. Busy days teach us a lot about our choices." Her expression faltered for a split second. "I suppose so." I walked away, feeling the subtle thrill of control without exerting power. Seeing her face the consequences of her own arrogance was enough. I didn't need to accelerate it, the universe was handling that part. Later, Ryan joined me outside, coffee in hand. "So, you didn't intervene?" "Nope," I said, taking a sip. "I watched. Learned. And I feel balanced. Like I've finally internalized the lesson of my past." He smiled. "You've changed. That anger that used to consume you is now purpose." I nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction. Purpose, yes. Strategy, patience, and restraint. That's what makes growth real. Back inside, I caught sight of Alina trying to recover her composure during a client call. Her usual ease was gone. She fumbled over words, misread data, and the client's polite concern barely masked irritation. I whispered to myself, this is the result of arrogance and carelessness. Not me. Her choices. By evening, the pattern had solidified. Alina's errors were small but cumulative. Colleagues quietly corrected her in private, minor social embarrassments compounded the tension. Her aura of control began to crumble, visible to anyone paying attention. Liam placed a hand on my shoulder. Remember, it's about observing and learning. Enjoy the lessons without losing yourself in them. I will, I said firmly. I'm stronger now, and I can see the bigger picture. I'm not reacting emotionally. I'm evolving. As I packed up my things to leave, I noticed Alina leaving the building ahead of me, shoulders tense, expression tight. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. I knew she felt the shift, even if she didn't understand it fully. Ryan fell into step beside me. You know, watching her crumble subtly, it's oddly satisfying. I smiled quietly. Yes, but more importantly, it's educational. Every misstep teaches me restraint, strategy, and how to stay grounded. And as we walked out into the evening, I realized this was more than just her karma unfolding. It was a mirror for me, showing how far I had come, how I had transformed, and how I could rise above without losing my integrity. Alina's downfall wasn't complete yet, but I knew it was inevitable. And I was ready to witness it without fear, without impatience, simply with the quiet power of someone who had learned the value of restraint. I walked into the office, files in hand, feeling the weight of anticipation but not fear. Today wasn't about revenge. It was about closure, clarity, and showing everyone, including Alina, that I had grown. She looked up from her desk as I entered. Her smile was polite but brittle, the mask of confidence cracking ever so slightly. "You're early," she said, her voice tinged with surprise. "I prefer to be prepared," I replied evenly, setting my files on the table. "I think we need to talk, openly." Alina's eyebrows lifted. "Oh. About what?" "About honesty," I said, taking a slow breath. "About trust. And about the choices you made when you tried to undermine me." Her lips pressed together. I don't know what you mean." I met her gaze, unflinching. "You know exactly what I mean, Alina. The manipulation, the subtle sabotage, the way you smiled as you pushed me aside. I've spent years reflecting on that day, and I need you to acknowledge it." Her composure faltered. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean." I echoed, my voice firm but calm. "You don't get to play innocent now. Not after how I was humiliated, overlooked, dismissed." Alina's fingers drummed nervously on the desk. I was ambitious. I thought I had to do what it took. I didn't realize." "You didn't realize?" I said sharply. "You made choices, Alina. Choices with consequences. And now, those consequences are visible to everyone in this room." She glanced around, noticing a few colleagues lingering nearby, curious about the tense conversation. "You don't have to." "No, I do," I interrupted. "Because it's time someone speaks the truth." Her face paled slightly, and she looked at me as if seeing me for the first time. I'm sorry," she said softly, the words unsteady. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't fix the years of doubt and heartbreak. But it's a start, if you truly mean it. Alina swallowed hard. I do. I really do. I never imagined you'd come back like this, strong, confident, unshaken. I allowed a small, controlled smile. That's because I chose to grow. I chose not to let your betrayal define me. I built myself, learned patience, strategy, and strength. I'm not here for revenge, I'm here to claim my life back. She looked down, guilt pressing in. I can't believe how much I lost by underestimating you. You weren't just underestimating me, I said quietly, but firmly. You were actively trying to destroy my chance. And yet, I survived. I learned. And I rose. Her eyes filled with something close to fear. I didn't realize. You'll realize, I said, letting the words linger, that your choices have consequences. That people notice. That integrity, trust, and hard work cannot be replaced by cunning alone. A senior colleague cleared their throat. Is everything all right? Yes, I said, keeping my tone calm. I just wanted to ensure clarity. That honesty is acknowledged. That accountability is seen. Alina looked around, eyes wide as whispers started circulating. The colleagues were absorbing every word, witnessing the subtle unraveling of her composure. I never meant for it to go this far, she stammered. Intentions aren't enough, I interrupted gently but firmly. Actions matter. And your actions hurt me, directly and indirectly. And now, everyone here can see the truth, whether you admit it or not. Her shoulders slumped slightly, and I saw the first flicker of genuine regret. The confident, untouchable Alina was gone, replaced by a woman realizing the depth of her mistakes. I'm ashamed, she whispered. I didn't realize how much damage I caused. I stepped back, letting the silence hang, the tension thick in the room. Ashamed is a start. But understanding the full impact, that comes later. I've spent years recovering, learning, and transforming. And now, I'm standing here, in control of my story. You see me now, not as the naive person you once tried to destroy, but as someone who owns her life, her choices, her power. Alina's gaze dropped to the floor. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, I said softly. Just understand. And let this be a lesson, not just for you, but for anyone who thinks betrayal goes unnoticed. Her lips trembled, and for a moment, I caught the faintest glimpse of fear, of understanding that she had lost more than she realized. I glanced around the room. Colleagues exchanged quiet looks, some nodding subtly, others watching in awe. Liam stood nearby, a quiet, approving smile on his face. Ryan nudged me slightly. You did it. You're unshakable. I nodded, feeling a surge of calm satisfaction. I did it. Not through anger, not through revenge, but through growth. Confidence. Integrity. Strength. Alina finally lifted her eyes, tears glistening, voice barely above a whisper. I see that now. I lost more than I knew. I gave her a final, measured nod. Yes. And I won't forget. But I won't let the past chain me. That's my power now. And with that, I turned, leaving the room with my head held high. Alina remained standing, silent, regret written across her face, fully exposed. The cycle of betrayal had ended, not through fury, but through transformation. I sat at my desk, the city lights painting streaks of gold across the glass. The office was quiet, the hum of distant traffic a gentle reminder that life kept moving. I smiled, thinking of everything that had happened, from betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak, to growth, strategy, and finally, my own transformation. Ryan leaned against the doorway, coffee in hand. You look different. Not just confident, but peaceful. I chuckled softly. Peaceful is a good word. I've finally learned that control doesn't come from anger or revenge. It comes from within, from knowing I don't need anyone else to define me. He took a sip of coffee, nodding slowly. I've seen you go through fire and come out, unshaken. Proud of you, really. I smiled, feeling warmth in his words. Thanks, Ryan. I couldn't have done it alone. Having someone who trusts you, who reminds you of who you are, that matters more than I realized back then. Sophia joined us, carrying a small stack of papers. Hey, I heard the last project went perfectly. Congratulations. I'm glad you're thriving. I gestured toward the seat beside me. Sophia, you have to sit down. I need to hear your thoughts. She smiled, sitting gracefully. You've changed, I can see that. And yet, you're still the same person at heart, kind, intelligent, determined. You've grown without losing yourself. I paused, thinking. That's exactly it. Growth without losing yourself. That's what this journey has taught me. Sophia's eyes softened. And what about Alina? I exhaled slowly. Alina, she's a reminder of what could have held me back. She made her choices. I didn't intervene. I let her face the consequences naturally. And she did. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Does it feel satisfying? I shook my head with a quiet smile. Not in a bitter way. More like validation. I've earned my success through integrity, not schemes. Seeing her struggle is just evidence that life balances itself. Karma, if you will. Sophia nodded, folding her hands. That's maturity. I think a lot of people would have used that chance to humiliate her. I could have, I admitted. But I didn't. That's the difference. Power isn't in retaliation, it's in restraint and knowing your own worth. Ryan leaned back, smiling. I never thought I'd see you so calm, collected, even happy, after all that pain. I'm happy, I said softly. I've built my career, my life, my confidence. And more importantly, I've built my own peace. Alina's downfall isn't what defines this moment. What defines it is me, finally in control of myself. Sophia reached over, placing a hand gently on mine. And you deserve it. The betrayal, the setbacks, they were just lessons, guiding you to this point. I smiled, looking at the city beyond the window. I've learned to appreciate the lessons. Even the pain has meaning. And I've learned to trust the right people, people like you and Ryan. Ryan grinned. Well, I'm glad I made the cut. I laughed softly. You've always been there, reminding me not to lose myself to bitterness. That loyalty, that's priceless. As we talked, my gaze fell on a small envelope on my desk, one of the last letters Alina had sent before our confrontation. I picked it up, running my fingers over the familiar handwriting. For a moment, I considered reading it, but then I smiled and set it aside. Its presence wasn't about anger anymore. It was symbolic, a memory of the past that no longer controlled me. Sophia noticed my expression. Thinking about the past? Not really, I said. Just appreciating how far I've come. That letter, it reminds me of who I used to be, and how much I've grown. She nodded, understanding. Growth is the best revenge, in a way. I chuckled. Yes, growth, integrity, and peace. That's my real victory. Later, I walked through the office one last time before leaving for the evening. The lights reflected on polished surfaces, and the gentle hum of computers reminded me of the life I'd built, independent, earned, authentic. Ryan fell in step beside me. So, what's next? I looked up at the sky, streaked with dusk. Next is continuing this path. Strength, integrity, patience. I've reclaimed my story, and now I write the next chapters. And Alina? He asked softly. I smiled faintly, feeling no bitterness, only clarity. Alina, she's a reminder of what I overcame. I hope she learns from her mistakes. I've learned from mine. But I don't need her anymore. I've moved beyond her shadow. Sophia joined us, and together we walked toward the exit, the city lights guiding us forward. To new beginnings, she said, her voice warm. I nodded, feeling a profound sense of completion. To new beginnings, I echoed. To trust, growth, and genuine relationships. To life built by choice, not circumstance. As we stepped out into the evening, I felt the weight of the past lift from my shoulders. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the struggle, it had all led here, to empowerment, independence, and peace. I glanced at the horizon, letting the city lights reflect in my eyes. I've finally claimed my life, I whispered to myself. Not through revenge, not through anger, but through growth, patience, and resilience. And in that moment, I realized I was reborn, not as a victim of betrayal, but as someone unstoppable, self-assured, and free. The past had shaped me, but it no longer held me. The future was mine. And I would embrace it fully, without hesitation, without fear, and without regret. The morning air felt crisp, carrying a sense of new beginnings. I sipped my coffee, watching the city wake up beneath me. It was quiet, peaceful. I had finally stepped out from under Alina's shadow. Her choices, her betrayals, even her regret, no longer touched me. Sophia leaned against the balcony railing. You look different, she said softly, a smile lighting her face. Like you finally found yourself. I chuckled, feeling a lightness I hadn't felt in years. I have, Sophia. It's strange, after everything, I can breathe without carrying that weight. Ryan joined us, stretching lazily. I've got to say, seeing you here, calm, confident, it's inspiring. You've really turned it all around. It wasn't easy, I admitted, but I realized that control doesn't come from taking revenge. It comes from building yourself, stronger than ever, so that nothing, not betrayal, not jealousy, can shake you. Sophia nodded. And yet, you've kept your compassion. You didn't become bitter. That's what makes your growth so real. I smiled, looking at both of them. I guess I learned that real power isn't in forcing someone down. It's in rising above without losing your integrity. Alina taught me that lesson, even if she didn't mean to. Ryan laughed softly. Karma did its job, huh? Quietly, naturally. I tilted my head, watching the sunlight reflect on the glass buildings. Exactly. I didn't need to intervene. I just focused on myself. And the universe handled the rest. Sophia's voice was gentle. And now? What's next? I took a deep breath, feeling excitement bubble up. I've started my own venture. Independent. Fully in control. I'm not relying on anyone to define my worth anymore. Every decision is mine, every success earned honestly. Ryan's grin widened. Sounds like the kind of freedom we've been rooting for you to achieve. It is, I said. And it feels amazing. I can finally trust myself fully, my instincts, my choices, my values. That's the real victory. Sophia reached out, touching my arm lightly. We're proud of you. You've endured, learned, and transformed. That's what real strength looks like. I let a soft laugh escape me. And to think, it all started with betrayal and heartbreak. Funny how life works. Ryan leaned closer, smirking. Funny, but satisfying. You didn't just survive, you thrived. I gazed at the horizon, the city sprawling endlessly before us. Thriving is only part of it. I found balance, purpose, and clarity. I've reclaimed my life completely. Sophia smiled. Then here's to the future, your future. Full of possibilities, free from the past. I raised my coffee cup toward them. To new horizons, to loyalty, to growth, and to the lessons life hands us, even through betrayal. And to the quiet satisfaction of knowing karma can be stronger than any scheme. We clinked our cups together softly, the morning light warming our faces. For the first time in years, I felt truly at peace. Strong. Independent. Ready for whatever came next. Alina's shadow was gone. I had risen, and nothing could touch me now.